Hey everybody, Ed Gang here. I am super excited to share with you the launch of MDNA 3.0. Now this has been rolling out really stealth mode over the last few weeks, so it's about time now that I kind of explain everything that's changed, what's going on, where MDNA could be going. So I have my handy dandy cheat sheet here. This is super cool. We've put it all onto an oversized postcard, and you'll notice that MDNA, the framework, looks pretty different at this point in time. Now what we've done with 3.0 is we've really incorporated the study of emotional intelligence with brain science and all this really cool stuff. And what happened was I realized after learning a few things that you can actually be left or right brained when it comes to your MDNA. And you're actually meant to use your entire brain. And so we'll put out a lot of information on that, etc. But I can tell you from my standpoint, I was completely left brain UCD. Now that's my strongest gift, UCD, unyielding conviction and design. And I recognize that I was completely left brain on that. So this is the reason you'll see little drawings of brains divided on two sides. Now one thing you'll notice, all the profiles are the same, all the gifts are the same, but what happens is they're all now in a straight line. They're not in that circle anymore, they're all in that straight line. And the reason for this is we've sort of been going away from primary and secondary, and now what we're looking at is the spectrum. So I call it your intrinsic motivational spectrum. So let me give you an example. I'm UCD EIA, so I'm red here and green here. And so in between these two, I've got SSA KWR. This is my spectrum. This is my spectrum. So your two descriptions, which also have changed from personality and promise, or promise and personality, into purpose, passion, and potential, what the descriptions tell you is both sides of your spectrum, and then you want to learn everything in between there. And this is a theory that we have, that to maximize that spectrum, you need to become holistic right in here. So last night I was talking to someone who was SSA EIA or EIA SSA. And so we were talking about how this individual has really gone to learn about KWR. And so you want to focus on your two top gifts, to two ends of your spectrum, but at the same time, you don't want to ignore what's in the middle. Now, obviously, if you're an IAF UCD, which a lot of people in my world are, you've got a pretty wide spectrum, which has some really interesting implications. Now, you'll also see that there is a sort of front side. So if this is your brain, the top is your front side, and your back is the back side of your brain. And this sort of gives us an idea of how people sort of lean in as far as using their brain and their MDNA is concerned, and they lean back. So there's a difference between someone who is sharing versus solving. Sharing, I lean in and I want to share, versus solving. Someone who looks at everything is related, the relatedness, versus someone who looks at all the rules. Then someone who sees everything as linked versus someone who sees things as localized. We're dealing with a very specific focus section there. And then there are people who think everything is situational. I'm taking this situation by situation as far as relationships are concerned. And then there are individuals who see things as spatial. So how does everything fit? Are there patterns, etc.? Then there's the left side and the right side. Now, your left side of the brain is all about, when it comes to MDNA, about truth and action. So you need truth and action to be fulfilled, professional success and personal fulfillment. But you also need joyful relationships. Now, being really left-sided in terms of using my gifts, I was all about truth and action. And if you knew me, you would attest to this, as many, including my family, do. But what I was missing was the right side, and it was all about joyful relationships. So hence MDNA 3.0 is actually called True Joy, which combines the left side and the right side of the brain, truth and action, joyful relationships, true joy. I thought that was pretty clever. Now what happens is your spectrum gives you an idea of the proclivity to use one side of the brain or the other. And this could be through social influence, conditioning, things that you've learned, your family, etc., and just naturally how you're wired. So for me, being UCDEIA, I had the ability to go off the left side of the spectrum, which means you go offline. So you actually go relationally offline. There are no joyful relationships in my world when I go offline. Now, if you happen to be on this other side, let's say you're an IAF EIA or an IAF DLF, IAF CVS, one of the things that can happen is you end up going off the right side, which leads to overload. Now, all of you IAFs out there, you might be thinking, yeah, I know what that's like to be overloaded. And so this really adds an extra dimension to understanding sort of the reason we do what we do. And so we've tested it out with different groups and we've explained them, and it's really helped people because not only do they know what their intrinsic motivations are, they know when they're going truth in action or joyful relationships or offline or overloaded, when they're leaning forward or when they're leaning back, using different parts of their brain, etc. And this really has been, helpful. And that's what we're really trying to do. So I look forward to sharing more as far as what MDNA 3.0 is all about, but you pretty much have the gist of it, and you'll see this model show up everywhere now, and slowly we'll start to integrate the different learnings that we've done. I am so excited to share a lot of the new tools that we have, and those will be coming. So in the meantime, hope you enjoy MDNA 3.0, true joy, and look forward to any feedback as you can always help us with that. Thanks a lot.